SBC Media.
Welcome to the iGaming Daily Podcast, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market.
iGaming Daily is wrapping up its ICE 2026 coverage by taking a look at some of the biggest headlines and talking points from the show floor. Today we've heard from Tim Miller, Executive Director of the UK Gambling Commission, and Shay Segev, CEO of DAZN. So we'll take a look at what they told attendees and what it says about the state of play for iGaming in 2026. Welcome back to iGaming Daily, supported by Optimove, the creator of positionless marketing and the #1 player engagement solution for sports betting and iGaming operators. I'm Charlie Horner, and today I'm joined by Ted Menmuir, Editor-at-Large at SBC and Editor of SBC News, Ted Orme-Claye. Ted OC, how's things?
Pretty good, mate. Thank you, Charlie. Yeah, like I said, it's been a busy couple of days, but it's been good to be back here at ICE. There's always lots going on, lots of people to speak to. There's been some good conference stuff to check out as well. And yeah, it's been great to see some of our London colleagues in person as well. It's not too often we get the chance to do that, like the one and only Ted Menmuir, for example.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Ted, welcome back to the show. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ted.
Thank you. The sun's out. And to our audiences, I'm enjoying my second Fanta Orange. Great drink.
Other brands are available. All right, we're on day 3, and to paint a picture, we're coming towards the end of the show now, and energy's still high, spirit's still high, but we've learned a lot. We've had a lot of conversations between us this week. I think let's just open the show by just having some general reflections on the conference this week. What have you made from the time here, and what have you learned, Ted OC?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I need to start casting my mind back. Like I said, there's some good, some interesting things said on the conference side of stuff, and then a lot of good conversations we had with different people from across the industry. I've spoken to some people we know at companies like Flutter and Allwyn and so on about the things those companies are up to, and the kind of developments they're monitoring. Obviously, when you speak to people who are involved in the British market, a lot of the conversations are around the tax changes and the regulatory scenario. But we've also spoken to people talking about Ireland and the future of the regulations there. I was speaking to the managing director of quite a big Spanish operator earlier as well about some of the marketing restrictions in that country. And I'd say that country, in the country we're currently sat in, I should say, and sort of the challenges of competing in that scenario. I mean, we've spoken to a lot of the affiliates as well. Ted was mentioning that in yesterday's episode about some of the conversations he's had on the affiliate floor. Yeah, as always, a lot to take away.
Ted M, what have you learnt this week?
Look, I think that this is kind of a point of inflection post all the regulatory judgments that there were last year across a lot of European territories, and I think it's going to be a testing 2026. I think some of the figures that are going to come in from kind of Q1 onwards are they're not going to be pretty. I think there are a number of companies that have gone straight into kind of reevaluating their value chains, their operations, but we talk about this, but it just appears just being ever present now. Just gambling and the big PLCs have to be like a constant evolution, and it's really now down to the strongest and smartest will survive.
Mm-hmm. And just from my experience this week, so going around the show floor, and I think behind all of the bright lights, the exciting products that are on show, I think there is a realism setting in that we are at an inflection point, and it's not just the operators who are taking that into account, it is the suppliers as well, and I think they are really focused on long-term partnerships, making sure that they're working very closely with operators, because they're aware that operator margins are going to be tightened across several markets, and they're really working on bringing new solutions to the market to help keep those margins as strong as they can be through what is going to be a tough time.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I noticed. I mean, a lot of the conversations I've had have gone straight into the numbers, and straight into, leaders actually being quite open about it, saying like, we don't know in what direction to go at the moment, or where do we squeeze margin from? Is it marketing? Is it operations? Is it services? What is, I think this is quite a transformative ICE, because I think a lot of these contracts are going to be reevaluated, and especially kind of at the B2B level. There seems to be like a sense that everyone's on their toes, and there is kind of that sensitivity in the backdrop.
And operators, of course, want to ultimately provide players with the best experience, so they want to take advantage of the solutions and the products that are on show.
Yeah.
But to do that at the right financial level. So I think that's going to be something that's heavily looked at over the months and
it's
weeks
there's
to come.
a bit of a tightrope to walk, really, isn't there? Because of wanting to find partners and suppliers that can help you provide the best products, the best services, or maybe help with marketing and things like that, help with RG requirements. But then if your budget is getting shrunk by heavier taxation and other duties, you're not going to have the money to spend on that. So not as much as previous years. So there's going to be a very fine balance to be had over 2026 and into the years beyond, I think.
Talking to the bigger software providers, and I actually did see that in terms of like the sports books, because there is a concern there that, look, everyone wants to deliver product, everyone wants to be efficiency, but it is a two-way street between the operator and the supplier and how they integrate. And with sensitivities on cost controls, there are kind of, I think, points of kind of stagnation of how these partnerships are going to develop out. What are they kind of prioritizing now? And look, it's a big year for sports. Everyone wants to have optimal product come the World Cup, but it's whether they can guarantee the resources to get there. So again, it's very much kind of the aftermath of those judgments, the implication of them, and how they come into play. Everything seems to be colliding. It is an interesting time to live in, for this industry.
And it's even more interesting time to be reporting on it. I mean, as we see these Q1 figures come in the next few months, it's going to be so interesting to sift through those results and see how people and operators are being affected by this. Okay, well, let's park that part of the conversation for now, because I want to make sure that we come on to some of the speeches that we gave throughout the week. And one particularly of note that we'd like to highlight is Tim Miller, Executive Director at the Gambling Commission. Ted O'C, I think you were there, or you've sifted over what was said.
Yeah, so I guess we should clarify that the speech was at the World Regulatory Briefing, which was under Chatham House rules. So we weren't in attendance or live reporting on it. But the Commission has now published a speech on its website for everyone to read. We've covered it on SBC News. Well, our colleague Victor has covered it on SBC News back in Manchester. And it's caught a bit of attention from a few other outlets outside of the industry as well, I think, because of what he said. Now, the really interesting element of it is he's talking a lot about social media and specifically about Meta. And there's a bit that stands out quite a lot where he says, the question, I'm paraphrasing it, because the question we're asking of Meta is, and I quote, whose side are you on? Which I think is quite interesting. It's in the context of the UK GCs and the wider British regulated industry's battle against the black market. Meta obviously is the owner and operator of Facebook and Instagram, and Miller has been pointing out about how a lot of black market, unregulated, unlicensed sportsbooks and casinos, whatever word you might want to be referred to them as, promote themselves via these two social media platforms, two of the biggest social media platforms going, and I think he very clearly wants to see Meta take on a bigger role in taking these ads down. It doesn't seem like he's been buying some of the stuff they've been telling the Commission about how they're addressing these black market ads, or about how they get alerted to them and things like that. I think Miller thinks that that Meta should be stepping up what it does.
Ted, how would you reflect on that, and what does it tell us about the Gambling Commission's sort of evolution when it comes to enforcement?
I think kind of the reaction's divided. There will be guys saying, yeah, it's about time. and that there had to be something imposed, not only on Meta, but on Google, on the big kind of like Silicon Valley media companies, their inventory, and their kind of advocacy and their safeguards for general audiences. They are the kind of gatekeepers for any industry in how kind of they engage with customers. Again, it comes at a kind of very kind of fraught time between the relationship between the UKGC and UK gambling licenses, but also with the public. We saw that report at the start of the year that the general public are kind of losing faith in the authorities related to gambling, and the Gambling Commission is included in that. I think it's quite forthright of them to want to kind of challenge or go up against kind of the bigger themes in enforcement, and one of them would be, how do you ensure that the rules also apply to your big media companies and that they are kind of compliant too with the regulations, because it shouldn't just be on the licenses, it should be on the whole environment. In a way, I'm kind of glad now that the Gambling Commission, or it appears that even politicians themselves and those in authority, are kind of starting to talk more about the overall system and the overall kind of environment in which gambling operates. It's not just a case of what's imposed on the licenses, it's their surrounding services and how they go to market.
Okay, brilliant. Well, Ted, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more.
SBC Leaders connects the gambling industry's top-tier operators and associations to share the best ideas, collaborate on solving the biggest issues, and push innovation throughout the betting and gaming industry. If you're an operator and want to join the discussion, visit sbcleaders.com for more information.
Welcome back to iGaming Daily. We're rounding up our reflections after what has been a busy few days at ICE. Another speech that I'd like to highlight was the CEO of DAZN, Shay Segev, who's already also spoken this week. Ted, OC, what did he have to say?
Yeah, so I was at this one. Shay Segev delivered a keynote yesterday morning. It was the opening speech of the day. DAZN obviously being a really big and continually growing player in global sports streaming, sports entertainment, and obviously increasingly a big stakeholder in betting as well. They're the owner of DAZN Bet, as the name would suggest, and that is live in, I believe, the UK, Ireland, Italy, and Spain. I may have missed a market off there. Germany as well, Germany. And I believe our colleagues on Canadian Gaming Business have reported that they're interested in Canada as well. Obviously, that would be, I'd imagine, would be a launch in Ontario and then possibly eyeing up Alberta as and when when the market there goes live. Although I'm just speculating at that. But yeah, Shay Segev was talking about the company's ambitions. It's actually been covered by Rachel Kennedy for Insider Sport already. I'm aiming to get something out on it on SBC News as well, so please stay tuned to see that. But one of the interesting things he talks about was sort of their overall ambitions as a sports entertainment brand. He was making comparisons to Spotify and how that is used to consume music, and they kind of want to be what he called the Spotify of sports, and have the idea that everyone has the DAZN app on their phone and uses that to get their sports content, whether that's actually watching matches and things like that, or getting news and highlights, or potentially having a bet on it as well. But I think the thing that was most interesting about the speech was that it started about 30 minutes or so after DAZN announced that it has signed a partnership with Polymarket to start offering predictions on its platform as well. This will be in the US to start with, but I think they have got other countries on their agenda further down the line. We don't know which ones it will be, but obviously you would start with the US. That's where this prediction scene has really been exploding. So now they're offering that one as well. He didn't really comment too much on that, but he did seem very confident that they'll be able to build up a decent standing in that space in partnership with Polymarket, obviously one of the biggest ones in there. So yeah, the timing of it around that was probably the most interesting thing about it, really, being that I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect this wasn't on my 2026 predictions. No pun intended. For DAZN to get involved. But anyway, go on, Ted.
Yeah, I interviewed the CEO of DAZN Bet in the affiliate stand, and I think they've been the noisiest company at ICE. So they win that award. Congrats, guys. But my reflections, look, it appears that it's a big year for them, and one of the things that they pointed out is that they're now active in 10 regulated markets. It appears that they're a company that really are kind of striving to get market share quickly. I'm going to kind of vouch for that. I'd be looking at DAZN to actually, maybe acquire or go on a kind of M&A hunt for one or two kind of local licenses there. The other thing is, with the VCs and their kind of billionaire owner, I mean, they're not... I don't think they're just here to participate. I think that they do need a significant section of their business to come from betting and gaming and to be attached to their kind of OTT and streaming platform. This is a company that is risking a lot, and it's definitely one that I think we're going to keep kind of close eyes on this year.
Yeah, it's a company that has invested a lot into sports and its tech platforms as well. And it's trying to gather that all into one ecosystem, and it's a risky move, but if you can do it and you can pull it off, you'll reap the benefits.
And it's one of these companies that's in gaming, but when it moves, it kind of just not only kind of ripples within the industry, but outside within kind of media ranks. There's a lot of kind of cross impacts there, so I think that's what makes them interesting too.
And yeah, we've covered their financial reports as well. Their filings with Companies House fairly regularly, and one of the things I think, from what I remember when I covered the last one, was that they said in that the sportsbook revenue has been playing a much bigger, an increasingly bigger role in their financial performance, which is improving overall as well. So I think the launch of DAZN Bet, I think that was about 4 years ago now. Yeah, it seems to be playing a big role for them. And like Ted said, I think we should be keeping a close eye on them. I think we should expect some other moves from them. Could be M&As, could be new market launches, various types of partnerships. I mean, this predictions thing as well is obviously a different area, but I wouldn't be surprised to see even more coming from DAZN over the next couple of years.
I'd also like to add to the audiences that, coming from ICE, one of the things is that we're seeing kind of a lot of sensitivities on the media rights and the streaming. And I think that maybe that can kind of play into kind of DAZN's strength of kind of that convergence with the OTT content and creating like a true, very good kind of stream to mobile, stream to bet engine or website. And that could be kind of a difference maker for them. But coming from your likes of like your media rights owners, they are a lot more sensitive on how they're going to plug in these streaming IPs with the bookmakers going forward, especially because now everything is about cost control. So there is a kind of a premium to pay, and I think that's an element that's going to come into play.
Well, there you go, DAZN, noisiest brand at ICE, and one to watch for 2026. Clearly. Ted, thanks ever so much for joining me and talking about everything we've learned at ICE this week. And to the audience, thank you ever so much for tuning in to another episode of iGaming Daily, and come back tomorrow to keep up to date with all the latest global gambling news.
Thank you for listening to today's iGaming Daily podcast, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News network, or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.